Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Welcome to Friday, the 9th of December, 2022 here at Giga Texas, and a lot of activity. Some things that you'll probably be excited to see too. First off, as you can see by this image, it was very foggy again this morning, but I was able to get some pretty nice sunrise shots right over the factory before the fog really came in. After a few hours, I was able to come back and fly. Now, the second thing I want to say is that while I was waiting for the fog, I got a chance to talk to one of the many truck drivers that pick up the Model Ys and transport them off-site. Some up to that rail yard about 20-30 miles north of here near Taylor, Texas, and then some to a staging location downtown here in Austin. And what he told me is that currently they're using contracted truckers, but Tesla is in the process of creating their own trucking team, and they're actually hiring Tesla drivers right now. They've had 3 drivers hired. There's more that are going to be hired, and this will give them a chance to have their own transportation fleet without having to do any contracted work, which will save them time and money. In fact, the guy that I was talking about was really interested in getting that job. Now, I did ask him if he knew if they were going to be using the semi-trucks here, and he did not know, but I gave him some of the information about the semi-truck, and he seemed extremely excited about its capabilities. I also want to show you this, which I saw when I got back and started flying. Now, there's some extremely heavy items being delivered here at the casting machine structure. Now, I know that people are asking me, have I seen the 9,000-ton Giga Press arrive? And up until today, the answer is no. However, as you can see by this close-up image, I think what we are seeing is some of the parts for that 9,000-ton Giga Press arriving, and others have already arrived and went inside before I had a chance to get them on film. So, I'm not saying it's 100%, but I am pretty sure, but why don't you tell me what you see by this image here? And then lastly, there's some developments up at the north end that I want to talk about a little bit more in detail, so I'll do that here in a standalone discussion. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. And let's talk a little bit about what is going on at the north end. Take care.
Lots of new construction here at Giga Texas. Last video we talked about the West Support Facility and that 240 acres of construction. Today I want to revisit one that I talked about on the 25th of November. This is that North Logistics Lot project. And check out that video for more information. This will just be an update from what I presented. Now, as you know, that the permit was filed with the city of Austin for about 166 acres or 68 hectares here on the north end, and you can see the inset map and the general area where this is going to be located. I believe it's going to be area number 1. Some more documents here from the city of Austin and some other information as well. So you can see by the lower left-hand corner photo where this most likely is going to be constructed on that north end. Now, we've seen that there was recently soil testing and for strength bores completed at this particular area. And then today I have some updates to show you that I think you'll find interesting. So take a look at these 2 comparison photos. The one on the upper right is from 15th of April, and it showed how this area appeared at that time. The lower left is from this morning, and you can see that the materials are being delivered. Others have already been delivered onto a staging location. Some of the concrete dividers has been located here as well. This may well be indication that we'll see construction beginning of this North Logistics Lot and possibly a warehouse according to the permit. While we're up here, I wanted to give you an update on area number 2, as you can see by the inset map. These 2 photos were taken about a month apart, the 2nd of November and this morning. You can see not a lot has changed with the steel materials being stored at the north end of this lot. However, this will be supporting the construction in that other area number 1. So there you have it, a brief update on the North Logistics Lot and warehouse that's going to be starting construction here soon. A lot to be watching for in the coming months and into the new year for here at Giga Texas. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. after about 3 hours or so waiting for the fog to clear, I was able to get a nice and sunny day. So let's start off here on the southwest side. This is that west support facility that is under construction, and you can see quite a bit of the earthwork that is going on to reclaim these old hills and valleys and ponds from the sand and gravel mine. Now, I discussed this on my previous video in depth, so I would recommend you take a look at that for more information. But brief highlight, this permit was filed with the City of Austin. It's for the West Support Facility. It's approximately 240 acres or about 97 hectares, and this map gives you an idea of just how large this section that you see being prepared today will eventually become. Now, one of the interesting things happened today is while I was waiting for all the fog to lift, I was able to talk to some truck drivers that were carrying some of the Model Ys off of site. And one of them confirmed to me that this entire section, as is the name, the West Support Facility, which is a logistics yard and parking, this will be where the new car staging and new car transportation will be constructed. So this will move all of what we see with the new vehicles being staged and all the vehicles being picked up by the trucks and transported up to the rail yards or other staging locations here in Austin. They will all be moved over here. So this entire side is going to become a very large logistics lot. Now, in the meantime, you can see this has been re-prepared or prepared by widening, adding some fencing, some of the markers for the trailers to be parked. Some trailers have been moved over already, and you can see some more of the work with the gravel on this section that has been widened off to the west. And this quick view here gives you a really good idea of how this is transforming and how quite a bit of the materials on this north end continue to be moved away, and there's less and less here. So we should see almost all of this removed here pretty soon. But interesting to get confirmation what this side will be used for. So let's go ahead and cross over the highway and take a look at what's going on the south end today. On this old concrete lot, which was the original new car staging and transportation lot, it looks like more of the concrete's been removed, specifically up where you can see all the trenching going on. The steel corrugated pipes are still waiting for installation. On the left-hand side, looks like some more of the concrete's getting prepared to be removed. You can see some of the slab sections here in the middle of the screen. And also you can see another one of these concrete pipes being maneuvered over into this section, and they're continuing to install these concrete section pipes in the trench all the way along the length of the width of the building. While we're here, you can see some interesting deliveries going on to this loading platform. A lot of these blue covered components continues to be a steady stream of materials and equipment for production being moved in here. You can see that trench, it continues to expand towards the east, and you can also see some of the other earthworking machinery and equipment that are just waiting here. Looks like they are starting a small pit or excavation on that one section as well. So something we'll look at in the future. But looking at the south end of the cyber pond, just taking a look at all the materials that are being staged here. Not a lot of recent changes. However, you can see some of the cranes next to all of the solar panels. Those containers are being moved and then put up onto the roof for more installation, which is great to see. Here you can take a look at the activity with the underground conduit and the concrete vaults. Looks like most of the work is completed as far as the trenching, and it's been filled back in. It looks like now crews are running some of the wiring, and hopefully we'll see them doing some of the electrical connections, and then maybe we'll see these smaller power lines and poles right underneath the drone removed at sometime in the near future. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing those removed. Now, as we come up to the southeast corner of the stamping machine structure, a couple of things to note. The trench work and the plumbing work here at the right at the bottom of the screen seems to be completed, and they filled in over the road. You can see this very large blue component on that SPMT, or self-propelled modular transporter. This has been recently delivered, and that gantry crane was used to lift it up and put it onto that self-propelled modular transporter, and that's going to be moved inside the south end of Stamping 2 for continued assembly of this very large press. So great to see this level of activity, and that the stamping press here is coming along. At least it seems like it would be on the inside. As a reminder, this is very different from the Idra Giga Press. However, we'll see on the north end of the building some deliveries for that. But both of these presses, the stamping press by AIDA and then the Giga Press from Idra up at the north end, are both important for Cybertruck production. So it's great to see all of this activity. Here's a really good view of the south end, the material staging closest to us, and across the road where we saw that west support facility construction underway. As we fly north along the east side of the body in white, this gives you a really good view of some of the activity going on this side of the building today. So if you compare this image of the small parking lot to my previous video 48 hours ago, quite a bit of the Model Ys have been moved out. That's a great sign, meaning they're being transported off-site. You can see the supercharger installation is definitely coming along as well. Another interesting thing to see here is this intersection of these two roads looks like it's being modified, and they're adding some of those diamond quarters, at least it appears to me, on the parking lots on both sides of this road right underneath the center of the screen. So very interesting to see how this will develop. Here's another good view of all of the superchargers that have been installed. About 30 of them will be operational here. Based on what I've seen in the past, maybe another week and a half before they are fully operational. This is a good view of some of the work going on here at these receiving doors, and you can see that now they've added some concrete where that formwork was in that dirt section. I'm going to bring you down to take a look at the HVAC enclosure construction and installation here on the body in white roof. You can see the materials to close up the roof around the perimeter of that fence, but otherwise continued work on the opening of the roof. As we fly over the solar panels, I mentioned that they were moving more of the ones on the south end up to the roof. You can see some of them on that edge of the roof already. And this is that space between the L and the A of Tesla. It looks like the one remaining section is nearly complete. The crews will be filling in that one blank section. We're going to go ahead and fly over the edge of the roof onto the west side and take a look at the activity at the main entrance reconfiguration. And what you can see is activity with more of the concrete apron removal. All of the stairs are removed. The black fence on the left seems to have been moved closer to the road, and they're excavating or removing some more of the concrete closer to the asphalt road. You can also see on the right-hand side of the screen the shape that is emerging, and it's mirrored on the left-hand side of the screen. I've asked some of the viewers to give me an idea what they think they are building here. One of the interesting things I've heard is somebody believes that they're going to be making a giant Tesla T in this section using the windows and then the apron, and then where this landscaping is bottom of the T. I don't know if that's true or not. It's an interesting idea, so tell me in the comments if you think that's true or if you have other ideas. Here is some more of the reconfiguration work and construction on the lift station. Looks like crews are continuing to work on one of those concrete vaults and some other trenching. Here's a great new development. This crane is being used to remove these blank panels of these receiving doors. Now, these doors were originally created when the building was first assembled, but they put these panels in. I asked the contractors at that time why, and they said it was just for future expansion. Well, it looks like that time is now, and many of these panels are being removed. So this continues to see that trend of adding more receiving doors that are operational at Giga Texas. I think this is a really great sign for production. So let's proceed up to the north end of the building and take a look at the activity that's going on up there today. Here at the north end, we can see that median between the parking lot and the road is definitely coming along. All the pipe work is completed. Most of the curbs have been installed. The sidewalk's been reestablished, and they're just preparing for more landscaping. So this project is coming to an end really soon. So it's great to see that being completed. Here's a good view of some of the materials being loaded up onto those platforms. You can see those tan containers at the bottom of the screen. Those are new. Those were delivered earlier today. And then probably the most important or exciting delivery is what we see here on this northeast corner of the casting machine structure. Now you can see a very large, very heavy lift trailer with a large component that's underneath this black wrapping. Now, a little later on the video, or at least at the time that I was flying, another one of these trucks came out of the casting machine structure empty. These are used to bring extremely large components. This one here, I think, is part of the 9,000-ton Giga Press, but I can't say for 100% sure. So I would be interested to hear what your comments are. So go ahead and put those in the comments of the video, and we figure out if what we are seeing is what everybody's been waiting for. Hopefully this is the first parts of the 9,000-ton Giga Press arriving. This is a good view of all of the castings that have been created. Over the last 48 hours, they went from almost all of these gone to now a pretty good quantity ready for movement over to the body in white for constructing of the various bodies. But I'll do this little bit of a pirouette with the drone over this section so you can see how it all appears and what some of the activity at the casting machine structure looks like today, in addition to those massive deliveries. Right now we're proceeding up to the electrical switch yard to see some of the activity that is going on. They continue to do some steel assembly, which is great to see. It's actually pretty closely now mirroring what the site plan documents that I presented in a previous video look like. There's still 6 of these A-frame towers. There will be one more constructed in this sort of empty section between the control room and all of the steel components. You can see the concrete pads for the transformers are pretty much ready for the transformers to arrive. You can see the cable tray trenching going on. They're expanding it to the south, but they've also finished up most of it from the building to the north. And also, if you look in between some of these A-frame structures, you can see some trenching going on, and that will be part of the cable trays that connect over to this longer one that we see at the bottom of the screen. All 6 of the V-top circuit breakers have been installed. As mentioned, more of the steel has been installed as well, and you can see some new poles right next to that control room have been erected as well. They are also digging a trench from that cable tray trench into the water detention pond. I believe this is for drainage, as you can see that black pipe that runs through the length of the cable tray trench in and amongst some of the gravel they put at the base of that trench before they put those frames in. So in my previous video, I noticed that there was some new activity up in this large clearing, and this is where the North Logistics Lot will be installed, or according to the permit, will be constructed with a warehouse at some point. They've already done a lot of soil testing, and you can see with this inset map, this area 1 is what we're looking at right now, and this is where they did all the soil testing. It looks like they've got a staging yard set up. They've got some concrete barriers. They have materials that have arrived, and also there's some more earthwork going on just to the north here. So it is very possible that this is a new staging location for a lot of the materials that will be needed to build this logistics and warehouse up at this part of the very north property of Giga Texas. Now we're going to fly a little bit farther to the north along these sand and gravel mine remnant hills and ponds. What I want to show you is where more of these materials, these steel components, are being stored at the extreme north of this field. And this is that Lone Tree field that I've been referring to for a while. But as you can see by the inset map coming up on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the north end of Area 2, and they're using this for some material storage. It hasn't really changed much in the last month, but with what you can see on the right-hand side of the screen with that new development, it looks like we're going to see some activity up in this part of the construction site very soon. Now what we're approaching is the equipment rental lot, and also with that rounded top tent or a sprung structure. This is where they have their maintenance and repair shop. But this is a lot of the rental equipment that's used in and around the site, and this is where they store them and maintain them. We can also see some growing section of all of the concrete sections that were cut and removed from the south end lot. And it looks to me like more of those parts of the concrete are being brought up to this temporary storage location. On the right hand side of the screen, you can see another one of these clearings, more of the hill removal that you can see here at the center of the screen. They're using a lot of this dirt in other portions of the construction site to level up the grade. It also lets them level this grade by reducing the height of some of these hills. You can see some more of the steel materials on the right hand side being stored. You can see some more materials and containers and workshops on the right hand side of the screen here as well. Some of the dirt's being used to fill in what used to be this north part of a water detention pond. You can see activity going on this morning. And this control room has gotten almost all of the walls installed, with the exception on the south end where it may be a large window, and some of the roof is being installed as well. Now, I still don't know what the purpose of this building is. It's very interesting, the construction that they are doing, and the fact that it's got a lot of insulation, 2 layers of walls it looks like, and then this window on the south end. So continue to monitor this, but probably within the next couple of days that roof will be fully installed. We'll fly south along the east side of the cathode plant just to give you a pretty good idea of how this side of the building looks today. And also it looks like there's some activity up on this temporary platform. You can see it looks like some large container may have been delivered, and it's sort of partially sticking out from that temporary opening. And you can see some other components that have been delivered as well, along with some of those white racking systems for some equipment that was delivered with it on my video on the 5th of December. So this is a really good view of the overall east side of the battery cathode plant and the activity today. And we'll take a look around more parts of the east side, and then we'll return back to take a look at the west side construction of the cathode plant. south end of the cathode plant, I noticed that there's a lot of these wooden crates being lifted up through these open sections of the walls, and that's one of the reasons why they left the walls open, is so that they can move these very large crates and other equipment inside. Now, this level of this building had some mounts put into the concrete floor, so what we may be seeing is the equipment that will be affixed to those mounts. So it's very interesting to see. As we get over to the foundation, a lot of changes today. Geopier work continues on the south end. In the middle section of the screen with that yellow crane with that large drill, you can see many of those concrete piers being installed in kind of a section. So that means something very heavy may be installed there. You can also see the number of footings has increased on the east side and the north, and a lot of them have concrete installed now. We'll continue around the site, going over to the west side to give you a different vantage point of all of the activity. You can see the concrete trucks are busy with that pump being pumped into the piers that are actively being constructed by that that very large yellow crane. And also, this is another view of that cluster of piers. And I'll try to zoom in so you can get a good view of how that appears today. But as I mentioned earlier, I suspect that something very heavy may be installed here. And this is why they are getting quite a bit of this clustered pier installed to be able to handle the weight. And as you can see with the drill, there's more of these being constructed as we watch. As we move a little bit further to the north, we can get a good view of some of the near completed footings, and also new footings and other concrete structures being installed. One of the interesting things that I noticed is the footings that you can see, sort of the second row on the right-hand side. There's a couple of different versions of those being built. Some are level with the ground, some have projections coming up. I'm not sure exactly why. As we approach the steel structure, this gives you a good idea of how it looks with most of the structure now completed and next to the building. You can also see the crews working on these iron pipes and manifolds. Again, this should be parts that are suspended or affixed to the steel structure right nearby, and we'll continue to monitor the developments as they continue the construction in this section. I'm bringing the drone up a little bit higher to give you a different perspective of the construction site. As I was mentioning before, if you look at that center row of footings, there's several different designs, and that's an interesting thing to see what they do and why they are making different footings. If anybody has an idea of why they are doing that, please let me know. So we're going to fly along the warehouse on wheels, just to give you an idea of how much activity is going on over here today. As you can see, a lot more trailers. They continue to expand, and this is why that west support facility is important to have them get that completed. We'll most likely see all of this warehouse on wheels moved over there as well, I think, in addition to the new car staging and transport. Here's a quick view of that workshop that modifies some of the steel components that are being used inside the casting machine structure and the renovated main entrance. The new car staging and transportation lot looks pretty busy today with about 4 trucks currently active at this point in time. As I mentioned in the intro, I talked to one of the drivers. They do 4 to 5 runs a day, and Tesla is currently building their own truck fleet so they don't have to do any more contracted vehicle transports, which will be really cool to see. Anyway, this was a good view on a very foggy day that cleared up and became sunny here at Giga Texas. I hope you enjoyed all the information and all the views. I hope you have a great weekend. And as always, thank you very much for your support and for watching.